Really appreciate you being here. I know every time I've talked to you, you've been doing like 5 different things at one time. So I really, really appreciate you coming to share your wisdom and experience with us.
Sure.
So we'll get started so that you can, I know you got several more things lined up today. So let's get through this so we can get you out of here and do it. So will you share with us? I'm super intrigued by your story and like this massive group you have built. So freaking cool. So tell us a little bit about your story, like how long you've been an agent, how you started this group, and what that looks like.
So we actually went when my son was 3, and I wasn't a travel agent yet. So he's now 17, right? So we had literally the world's worst trip. Like you couldn't have like had a worse like outcome unless someone died. So we got down there. We were staying at Bonnet Creek because we had Wyndham points.
Mm-hmm.
And this is before I was like, well, why do you need to stay at a Disney resort? Why? This is like, I'm going to save so much money doing it this way. And I was like, oh, shoot, now I have to wake up every morning at 6 a.m. to get the dining reservations and nothing's left. Huh. Yeah. So I did all of that, planned like the perfect trip. We flew down. On our arrival day, we weren't doing the parks. We were going to Chef Mickey's, and immediately, like, we get there, and my son like barfs on the floor, and I was like, "What's going on?" And I thought he was like anxious because like the characters are big and stuff, and he was 3, and I was like, I was there with my best friend and her 3-year-old daughter, and I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be great." Barfs. We take him back to the hotel. Actually, no. First, we went to go get our tickets that I didn't realize because I bought them on eBay. I bought someone's 10-day hopper with 6 days left, not knowing, because I hadn't been there since 1988, not knowing that they have fingerprints now and you can't do that. So Disney confiscated our tickets, just the one, because I only bought one of them on eBay. And then my husband turns around, he's like, I can't find the other ticket. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, I lost it. And the $500 Disney gift card that I had in my wallet. And I was like, what? And so he, I was going to kill him. We hadn't like taken a picture of it. Now I take pictures of everything. Like I have them in my phone. And it was literally like, we lost this, like, and it was a 10-day never expires hopper, which you can't even buy anymore. And I was so mad. And so we get back to the hotel. My son's running like 103 fever. And I'm like, what's going on? And we called the pediatrician. They're like, if it doesn't break in like 2 days, go to the hospital. So we ended up going to the hospital. He had viral pneumonia. And I was like, and there's literally nothing you can do for it because it's viral, right? So we're like, great. So we literally spent the entirety of our 10-day Disney trip in the hotel room. And then my husband was a teacher at the time, and we were supposed to fly back, and Hurricane Irene hit and canceled our flights. And so we were like, we have to get back because he has to be there for the first day of school, right? So we rented a car and we drove, and it was $360 for the one-way car rental because we weren't leaving in the same spot, right? So we drove back in 22 hours to northern New Jersey with a sick, screaming child, and it was literally the worst trip that could have ever been. And so I was like, well, now we have to go back because that was, and my husband was like, I'm never going back. And I was like, the only good thing was, and like literally my husband and I were like ready to divorce each other because like 22 hours in the car with him when I was like pissed off, not going well. I was like, why haven't I got my period yet? Oh, I took the test. That morning I got back into the hotel and into our house, and I took the test, and I was pregnant with my daughter. And I hold up the stick. He's on the phone with his mother, and he's like, guess what? You're gonna be a grandma again. I'm like, bro, I literally just peed on the stick, and you're telling people. So I was just like, she was the only good thing that came out of that trip because literally the worst trip in the world. So then we went back. Obviously, I was pregnant, so I couldn't go back for a while. And then we went back when my son was 5, when he was 5. And we did a mommy and me trip, and I left my daughter at home. And I wasn't a travel agent yet, but I was like, I want to get some, good deals. Like maybe I should consider this because people were always like, asking me to plan their trips and stuff. And I was like, I wonder if I could do that. And my friend was like part of a Facebook group, and it was run by a bunch of travel agents. And they were like, if you love Disney and you want to join, like you get some discounts, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, And so then my daughter saw the pictures on my phone, and she was 2, and she goes, Mickey? EMC Mickey? I go too? And I was like, I guess we have to go back. So then I was like, well, we'll go back. And so like we started going back, and I bought the DVC, and I was like, everyone's asking me to plan their trips because we've done like 3 or 4 trips at that point in a short period of time. And I said, you know what, I might as well get paid for it, right? So I started doing that, and that was in 2016. So my kids were 4 and 8. And so that was when it started. And you know how it is at the beginning. It's just like a kind of a disaster. Everyone's like on the mom groups, does anybody know a travel agent? And you're like, me. And you're competing with like 1,000 agents within like 5 minutes. And it's just like ridiculous. And so I'm thinking to myself, like, there has to be something that like I can do, like some sort of niche, like I can find, like to set myself apart, right? So we were going back to Disney. We were there for opening day of Toy Story Land, right? And we waited 4 hours for Slinky Dog Dash. And I was like, never again am I going to opening day. Like, that was a terrible idea. So we had our trip planned for August of 2019. And what happened in August of 2019, they announced the opening of Galaxy's Edge. And I was like, oh, like I gotta go. And literally, like, it was like the day after we were going home. So I changed my flights, I booked a few extra days in the hotel, and we made our 15-day vacation 18 days with 2 children. I think that by day 15 they're like feral beasts, so like you have to kind of just trim it down to like that 15 mark. That's like the sweet spot apparently for my children. So I'm thinking to myself, like, I remember how it was for opening day at Toy Story Land, and Star Wars fans are like next level, like, right? They're crazy. They'll like sleep in the parking lot. And I was like, I have 2 young kids. Like, my kids were 5 and 9 at that point. I'm like, what am I gonna do? Drag them up at like 2 in the morning and go sit in the parking lot? Like, I can't do that. So I'm like looking through about like the VIP tours, because I had seen the ones like the ones that were like per person prices, and they were like $200 a person, and it was like the thrill seeking one, there was like the family one, but none of them let you choose your itinerary. And I said to myself, like, why don't they have the private tours where you can do that and just join a larger group? Because I called and I inquired, and they're like, oh, it's $450 an hour. They're like, it's actually one of our lowest price points. And I was like, great, $450 an hour. That sounds great. Who signed me up? And so I was thinking to myself, like, and they're like, oh, it's the same price as it is for 3 or up to 10. And I was like, well, that's dumb. I was like, I'm a bargain shopper, right? Like, I used coupons, and I scrimped and saved, and I was like, this is dumb. Why would I pay for a tour for myself and my 2 kids where I could just have a group of 10, and like that cost would be dramatically down, right? So I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, there has to be a way. Like, it's Galaxy's Edge opening day. Like, I know people want to be there. Like, I know people don't want to like wait in those lines. Why can't I find some people to share it with me? And I said, I think that there's going to be somebody. So I posted in 2 groups. I am in like 50 Disney groups, right? So I posted in the annual pass holder group, which was run by this militant kind of wrestling guy at the time. And he like people like ripped me a new one in there. They're like, if you can't afford a tour, don't do a tour. Don't ask other people to pay for your luxury experiences. And I was like, that's not what I'm asking. I'm saying to you that the price is X, Y, and Z. Like, if we divide it by 10, we would each pay our fair share. And people were like I had to like take down the post. It was so bad, right? So then I went and I posted the same thing, the same exact wording, same thing in a DVC group. And people were like, that's brilliant. This is the best idea ever. And they're like, and like within like literally by the end of that day, I had, 7 other people that were like, I want to join. And so we were the very first tour share. And I was chatting with them and they're like, I think that more people would like to do this. Like maybe not for like this event, obviously, but like in the future, like I would love to be able to do this again. So they're like, we should join, we should make a Facebook group. And I was like, okay. So I made a Facebook group and there were literally the 10 of us. And then I invited like my friends, like, how it's like, lets you invite your friends. So we started out with 10 people and I was one of them. Actually, I was 2 of them because myself and my travel agent Paige they were both parts, right? So it was like, pretty slow going at first. And I think that like when I posted the pictures and everything from my tour, people were like, oh my God, how did you, I posted in the DVC group to say thank you. And after that, and I was like, oh, here's the link if anybody else wants to do it. Like, we don't have a lot of people, but like eventually, maybe it'll be a thing. So within a few days after that post, I think we had like over 1,000 people. And so people were like, this is a great idea. Like, and I actually started speaking with someone who she's a doctor and she runs a pretty large Facebook group for physician moms. And there's like 200,000 people in it. And she and I got to talking and she let me plan her tour. And she was like, after the tour, was over, she posted on her personal page and her group page and was like gushing about me and saying like how I made the process super easy. And like within, I call it like the holla effect because that's her name, right? So literally within like, I don't know, a few weeks, we had like, 8,000 members. And I mean, we've been doing this since 2019. So it's coming up on what, 6 years. And now we have, we're almost at 30,000. We have 29,000 people. And I think that it's popular because, Disney doesn't offer that. I think that they could probably offer spots and then like, people would just do it that way. But I don't think that they want the hassle of trying to find people and stuff. And I think a really important part of the tour sharing is, I'm a school psychologist, right? So my background is I have a doctoral degree in psychology. So I think that helps because I kind of manage people's expectations, like constantly managing expectations. And I tell them like they think that the tour is like, you just walk up and you're on the ride. And I was like, no, like you still have to use the lightning lanes. And they're like, well, why wouldn't I just get the Premier like pass? And I was like, well, the Premier pass costs X, Y, and Z. And like you can easily do in a 7-hour tour, you can easily do Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios. So those are 2 parks with your most rides, right? So I think the Premier pass for Magic Kingdom is like $400, and Hollywood Studios is probably like $300 maybe. So basically you're out like $700 per person at that point, right? So you might as well just share a tour and get 2 parks done in one day, right? Because that's how I frame it to people when they're like, well, why is it worth it? And I say to them, listen, the single most beneficial part of a tour is the ability to hop between parks very quickly. So I tell people like, when I tell people like, oh, they want to go to Magic Kingdom, and I'm like, give yourself at least an hour. And they're like, why? And I'm like, because you can't get to Magic Kingdom unless you're staying at one of those 3 like resorts or one of the other at Epcot and you hop and use the monorail. Like you're not getting there in less than like 45 minutes unless you're on a tour, and then it's like 10 minutes because you don't have to go through security twice. So I always tell people meet the guide in the park because you're paying from the minute you meet your guide. So meet your guide in the park. You've already gone through security. And now when you go to hop, like it's 10 minutes instead of a half an hour, 45 minutes. And you don't have to worry about anything. Like the guide takes care of everything for you. For me, it's really nice because I am like tour guide Barbie myself when we're on vacation, right? And I'm like, okay, so I'm the cruise director, but on tour days, I don't have to be. Like the tour guide, you know, like they take care of everything for you. So you don't have to, you can just be present and take pictures and enjoy yourself. And that's probably my favorite thing about the tour is, you know, you're probably all moms, right? Like we get the mental load of being mom, and we're the ones that are in charge of everything all the time. Like get yourself ready, like let's do this, let's do that. And you finally get to not. You get to just enjoy your vacation and be. So I think that tours are great for that purpose. And I think that when I frame it that way, a lot of moms are like, oh. And they're like,
I'm
that's
sold.
great. Right?
Sign
Like,
me up.
and like right now through September 27th, they have the 20% off discount if you're a Blue Card DVC member or if you're staying club level. So I've told people, I'm like, just book yourself a room at Coronado, like, and then get yourself the tour for 20% off. And so now if you do that, I think that the hourly rate for the 450 days, it's $360 an hour. So let me math that real fast. So 360 times 7, that's $2,520 plus tip. And I tip 20% of the non-discounted price, right? I mean, that's like 300, you know, 350, depending on like how much you tip. So let's see, let's 450 times 7 times 20%. So 630. I mean, to me, to not have to deal with all that nonsense, 630, that's $315 a person. Like, why wouldn't you choose a VIP tour over the Premier Access Pass? That's literally crazy otherwise. Like, I mean, obviously when you're at the $900 an hour price point, it's a little like harder to stomach. We actually did one last Christmas time. We did one on the 21st of December and it was awesome. Like, I mean, I love being able to go to Disney and not like being sweaty and red in every photo. So for me, and we got to see the Christmas fireworks, which were gorgeous. And you know, we had a great time.
Which there's a special viewing area for that, right?
Yeah. So you're in that like little like there's like a fenced off area in front of Casey's Corner. And it's all by yourself. So it's nice because there's like nobody there. Like my kids were like laying on the grass, like with the other kids that they're, and we always end up with people that are similar in age to like my kids so that like they have fun and stuff. And like I said, I try to get people to like start group chats with their potential shares before like the actual day. Cause you know how personalities are, like, especially in this day and age, like you have to really watch, you know, and make sure you're going to have a good day. Cause nobody wants to be like, oh, you're an Ohio State fan. And I don't know what their rival is. Like you don't want to end up with somebody that's completely polar opposite from you.
That was one of my questions, was how do you navigate that it doesn't fall on you, that it doesn't like, oh, you matched us with this person, you're responsible for our experience.
So yeah,
how do you
I don't match them. I don't make that claim. I will never say to you, like, I will help you fill your tour. I'll say like, I'll try my best to like get people to join, but like, I can't guarantee that, you know, like, and we've had, you know, tours that have ended up with 8 or 9 people and people are fine with it. Cause you know, the price per person really doesn't go up significantly. It's not horrible. And you're still having a great day. But I always tell people, like, I'll like stalk their Facebook profiles and be like, I really don't think that you guys are going to be the best match. Maybe you should just like say no. And at that point I'll say like, hey, do you want to book your own tour and we can find somebody like to join you. But that's really it. And, you know, I have a lot of people and I think people don't realize how much time goes into this. Like, it is a lot of time. And I'm constantly answering people's questions. And like, you know, most of them don't end up booking with me, and that's fine. Like, I want to make sure that the right information gets out there. Like, I had people posting about their personal tour experience, and I have to like basically tell people like, this is what is included in the tour. This is the expectation you should have. Like, when people post that they've had 15 snacks on Disney all day long and they got to do, you know, certain rides multiple times, it's really not, that's above and beyond like what they're really supposed to get. I have to go in and say, like, this isn't actually how it is. Like, they are tipping a large amount of money. So like the guide is probably paying for those like snacks out of pocket at that point. So again,
so can you give us a quick little what is included so that we have kind of a
and this
expectation
changes,
set?
honestly, like it changes.
Okay.
And
Of
the
course it does. It's Disney.
the targets will tell me, they're like, right now you can do this, but like last 2 months ago it was this, and you're like, of course. So right now, as of August 3rd, you get 2 snacks on Mickey per person per tour. That does not include in the backstage areas, like when you go up until a certain like time. So when you go backstage and you get in the van, there's a big van that they take you in from park to park. There's like a person back there with like snacks, and you can't take pictures. Like I can't take a picture and be like, oh, this is the snack area. Like they have like snacks, like they'll have like all the chips and stuff, everything that they sell in Disney, like they'll have there for free. So like the applesauce and Kind bars and like various chips and stuff. So all of that, like you can take. My disgusting children, they like grabbed like 4 bags of chips, and I was like, you're making it look like I don't feed you. Like, come on. So that was my son. I was like, really? And he's like, what? As he's stuffing Cheetos into his face. So you get those snacks, and they don't count towards your snacks. And that's great, because we usually will eat before our tour so that we don't have to eat during the tour. And then throughout the tour, you get as many like sodas and waters as you want. So like I'll start out maybe having like a Coke or 2 to like give me some caffeine and keep me going. And then after that, I switch over to water. But all day long, it's free. So like you don't feel obligated to like hold the water bottle. Like my kids are like, you're being so wasteful, Mommy. I'm like, here, I don't have to carry it. So I drink what I want, and then I throw it out, and then they get me a new one. So that, and like we went on the 16th and 17th of July. And I had my snacks were like the glazed nuts, and my kid had the pretzel, and you can get like an ice cream sundae, anything that's under $10. So like you can't get the Mickey apple with the chocolate ears, but you can get a regular apple, candy apple or whatever. So all that's included. They will give you ponchos if it starts to rain. And then at the end of the night, they'll bring you ice cream, like Mickey bars or like the ice cream sandwich or the strawberry bars. And those don't usually count as your snacks. Like those, they have like a freezer backstage, and they'll just bring it to you. So, I mean, honestly, for like at that lowest price point, if you're using that discount, like $3.15 a person, like that's nothing. I mean, you can spend that at Disney like super easily, right? So let's see. At the top price point, it's $900 an hour times 7 times point that, and then 6,300. So at that point, the most it'll cost you is $7.50 an hour a person. So $7.50 a person at Christmas time to like be able to like move, and they'll take you backstage. Like, so like when you go, if you go to the parade viewing, and you have to get from the Starlight area all the way over to the fireworks, they'll take you backstage where that where you go for the Halloween party. So, that's great. You're not having to like swim through a sea of people. But that's pretty much it. And they'll provide car seats and booster seats if you have little ones with you. And the guides really make it, the experience, right? We've had the same guides several times. Like,
You request your guides, or are they just assigned to you?
I always request certain guides that I know are amazing, and I will say, please don't give us this, like these few people, because they've been less than amazing. So and people will reach out to me and they'll say like, oh, we booked on our own, like we didn't really have a magical experience, and I'll like kind of dig deeper as to why, and they're like, it's usually because their expectations were like not managed, and because maybe they got a guide that like was less than magical, and that's always unfortunate. So
So will the guides stay with kids who can't go on rides? Is that a practice that happens at all?
Some of the guides will, and some of the guides won't. So, like
To the guides.
my guides will 100%. My guides will ride with me. Not all the rides will ride. I like to have the rides, the guides ride because I use that in my social media, and they know that. And I tell them, like, I always say to them, like, if there's a photo that you don't like that you don't want on the internet, like, just let me know. But like, we have a relationship because we've been together, so many times. Like, the one guide we've been with 3 times, the other one we've been with 5 times. And like, I become friends with all of them, right? So, they'll like message me and be like, hey, this just dropped, or this just changed. Now we can get Starbucks. Before they couldn't get Starbucks as one of your snacks. Now it can be one of your snacks, and people love Starbucks, right? I don't drink coffee, so it's not a thing for me, but like, people are like, this is the best. Okay. Good.
So I just watched the Mammoth Club. It just came out. They just came out with their VIP tour. I don't know if you saw that, if you ever watched them or not, but they just did the VIP tour. So I actually watched it this morning, and they did say that characters are now included. Has that always been? But they were saying that's a big deal because, you can't get it in the lightning lane anymore like you used to be able to. Those lines get very long sometimes. So I feel like that would be definitely a good perk for families. Let me see. So you go in, exactly how does the process work? So you go in, and how do you book it? You have to call it in?
Yeah, so you have to call. And when you call, they will ask you, here, I have I send a list of people, of things to people, like, when I want to book, I collect this information. So I will ask them to send me the names of everyone on tour, the ages of any children going. I ask for your My Disney Experience email, your reservation if you're staying on property, your phone number, your address, where you'd like to start the tour. And I just mentioned that can be changed very easily up until the day before the tour, the time that you want to start the tour. Disney will ask if they have any dietary or mobility issues, so you need to ask them that, and if they're celebrating anything in particular. So I'll send that to people who are like talking about booking, and they'll send it back to me, and then I use Travel Joy to get their credit card information. Disney will take a card to secure the reservation, but they will not charge the card until 24 hours before the tour.
Okay.
So people are like, okay. Now, Universal is different, that they take full payment at the time of booking. So that makes it a lot harder to share your tour, because people are like less likely to want to put out $6,000 and then have it on their credit card for 2 months while they find people, to share.
So then when you split it, do you calculate it yourself and then charge each person through Travel Joy?
I do not, no, because Disney will only take 3 credit cards total per tour, or they will take 2 credit cards and unlimited gift cards. So I have found that gift cards are the best way to ensure that everyone pays their fair share. So about a week before the tour, I make sure that everyone has sent me the gift cards for their specific amount. I do ask that they like try to get it as close as possible and not send me like 5,000 cards that I have to like read through, because I'm dyslexic and I'm really, really bad at reading numbers out loud. So they will do that for me. And if they don't, like, and it's just one person, they send me like 6, or I combine them on the DisneyGiftCard.com. I verify all their balances. Sometimes I will actually transfer the money onto one card. So like if 6 people have sent me, $500 cards, I'll combine it onto 3 cards and make them $1,000. So that way, like, I know the money is there. I know that they can't transfer it anymore because now it's in my Disney gift card like wallet. And that way I know that they're not like giving me a card and then taking the money off of it. You know what I mean?
Makes sense. Okay.
And I ask for that a week before, because if the guest wants to cancel the tour, they have to do so 4 days before the tour to avoid getting a cancellation fee. I tell people, if you don't cancel within that 4 days, it's on you to pay that $2. There's a 2-hour, at 2 hours at the hourly rate fee. And I had a client who asked me to cancel her tour in an email, and she sent it like at 11 o'clock, and I didn't see it until like 2 o'clock the next day. because I was working and I was in IEP meetings all day. And that's the, you know, the drawback of being full-time, like employed someplace else. I missed the window and she got charged 2-hour fee. I ended up paying that fee because she sent it to me. I just didn't see it. So now I tell people like, you have to send it to me 4 days before, like, or you're responsible for it. That was a very expensive lesson that I had to learn.
Good on you though for taking, you know, accountability for it. I mean, that stinks, but you learned, and thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. So hopefully we don't have to make that expensive mistake as well.
But yeah, and I mean, you just have to, really kind of gauge I'm in like, you know, at any given point, I'm in like 50 chats with like, and it's like tour share 8:15, tour share 9:20, like, and I have to like keep all of that. Like I have little like notes for each tour and say like this person, this person, this person. And like, it gets to be a lot. And so I'll just, and people must think I'm like stupid. And I'm like, you do realize that I have like 50 chats going at any time, right? And I work full time and I have 2 kids and a dog. So
my animals are the most needy, if we're being real honest.
Right.
Oh, seems like my internet's kind of, we're fixing to get a storm here. So if I cut in and out, that's probably why. So, so far you've knocked out all the questions. Oh, I did have one more. So when I was watching the video this morning of Mammoth Club, they were kind of going, so you just go straight to whatever ride. It's just, you just go through like the fast pass lane, right? Not fast pass, but lightning lane. Right. So you would see the same cues as the lightning lane, not the standby line. So you will miss some of the cues, but not.
Yeah. So, and then there are little caveats. So like Rock and Roller Coaster. If Rock and Roller Coaster's lightning lane is backed up to the touch point, you use a different entrance.
Okay.
And that literally takes you out right to that queue. And I was really annoyed last tour because we went on it and it was like by the ramps. But like while we were in there, by that time, it had gotten all the way to that. So then 2 tours got in front of us. I was like, this is not fair. But like that is feedback that I'm constantly giving to Disney, like constantly. I tell them all the time. I said, you know what? You're devaluing your product because Universal has a superior tour than you. Universal includes 3 meals, a breakfast buffet, lunch, and dinner after your tour. And they have a superior VIP access point. You don't use the express pass lane at Universal. You literally go onto backstage and there's no wait. Like literally you can do both of the parks, well, plus the new one, but you can do them in one tour and do everything because you're literally just walking onto every ride. Whereas Disney, like I counted, like and this is if you're doing tours, a quick way to remember the time frame of what you did when, take a picture at every queue, like when you enter and when you exit, because it's now time stamped and you know, all right, it took me 45 minutes to ride Rise of the Resistance. So I tell people there are certain rides that you're better off using a lightning lane than being on a tour. And I will die on that hill because like people are like, I really want to do it. And I'm like, then buy yourself a lightning lane because it's not a good use of tour time. There's a bunch of rides that like I would never ride on a tour. I wouldn't ride on Kilimanjaro safaris. I wouldn't do anything at Animal Kingdom. I've done it. I've done 4 parks in one day on a tour in 8 hours, and I don't recommend it because you're exhausted. Some people just want to do the 4-park challenge because they want to be able to say that they did it. But it's not even a challenge on a tour because you're going to do it and it's going to be fine. Don't do Animal Kingdom because you can get the lightning lanes there and be done with Animal Kingdom by 2 o'clock. Like there's no point in using tour time for that. Epcot, again, I think that you're better off using the lightning lane for Epcot because you can buy it for Guardians of the Galaxy. When you go down to Guardians of the Galaxy, it can be like 40 minutes. Like, because there's a lot of pre-shows, you're paying for all that time. And now Disney is allowing re-rides, but they're still making you go through the pre-shows. So that was feedback that I gave to Disney, and then they're testing it right now. And I'm like, it's all me, right? Call me.
Thank you.
So what they're doing now is they're doing testing where they're letting people re-ride Guardians without having to go back through the queue.
Ooh.
And it's not official, and it's not like, that's why I don't talk about it, because until it's actually happening, like, it didn't happen for us. We were on two tours, 2 days in a row, right? And it didn't happen for us because it's based on how the ride is functioning at that particular moment in time. So if the ride is backed up, they're not going to do it for you. So they want it to be one of those magical moments. And this guy that went on this tour went and posted on my Facebook group how he got to do Guardians of the Galaxy twice in a row. And I was like, just be quiet. I said, because now you're causing trouble for me. I literally spent all day doing damage control because of his post. And so they do allow it for re-rides for Space Mountain. So you'll go on the one track and then you'll get right off and then you'll go right to the other track without having to like leave the ride. You're doing it for Mine Train. Haunted Mansion, you can skip the stretch room to save some time. I do that. I don't like the stretch room in general. For Pirates, there's a separate entrance. For Avatar Flight of Passage, if the lightning lane is backed up to a certain point, they'll take you through a secret door to avoid some of that lightning lane. But that's the thing, is that they have all these like little secret things that, like, unless you've been on like a million tours, you don't know. So yeah, but what else? And obviously Rise of the Resistance, I tell people don't do that one. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railroad uses the backstage entrance. So you get in right at that pre-show where like Goofy is running the little show. So that's good. I mean, there's still a line after that point because you have to go into that queue. But I do think that if enough of us give Disney that feedback about, like, if you let people have, true backstage VIP access, like, it would be a lot easier to sell this over people just wanting to buy the premier plan. Like, why would you have two products that compete and one of them is significantly lower price point? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. So that's I'm always making those, like, when people post about them in Facebook groups, I'm like, and I can't put my group, but I'm like, you could just share a tour and like, it's probably about the same price. And a lot of people only have 1 or 2 like days at Disney, right? Like, there's a lot of people go, which is the worst possible thing, as we know, because you're paying top dollar to do 1 day here, 1 day here, 1 day here. But if you only have 1 or 2 days, like, VIP is the way to go, because you can do the whole, if you want to do 4 parks, you can do a 10-hour tour and you can get it done.
So what about Fantasmic? Do you ever do Fantasmic on it? Is there a entrance for that?
There's a Fantasmic has a special section, like they have VIP seating. And the good thing about ending with fireworks or Fantasmic or any of those things is that you end the tour 30 minutes before the show. So you're not actually paying to watch the fireworks, which is great. The addition of the parade, if you do the 9 o'clock parade, obviously you're paying for that time. But what you could do, and I asked my guides about this, and I said, could this be a little hack, right? Don't do the 9 o'clock show. You don't get VIP seating, but just stay in that area after the fireworks, hang out there, and watch the parade from that viewing area, because you're already in a pretty good spot to see the parade. Mm-hmm. And at that point, you're ending your tour at 9:30. The fireworks start at 10. You just hang out there till the 11 o'clock, watch the show. And I was like, will anyone like kick you out? And they're like, no. They will kick you out of the train station because they close that whole area. So you can't stay there because they don't want people watching fireworks from that area. So the fireworks, that is closed during fireworks, but it's not so for the VIP area for the fireworks. You could still watch the parade there.
Okay. I think that's all my questions. Ladies, do you have any questions about VIP? I got more information. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, just her knowledge is just amazing. Like, Oh my
That's
God.
exactly what I was going to say. I've gotten way more than I ever planned of coming here to get. So thank you so much.
Yeah, that was a lot of good information. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I do have one more question. Have you done the Keys to the Kingdom tour?
I have not, because my kids are too, my little one is not 16 yet. So when she turns 16, I'll do it.
Okay.
We did the Family Magic tour back when that was a thing, and we loved that too. But yeah, I mean, and just when it comes to the guides and stuff, like, just reiterate that, like, although tipping isn't like expected, it is like, you know, appreciated, and most people do tip. And I think that, you know, especially when you're working with clients from other cultures, like, I have clients that are from all over the world, like, because like people are in my group from all over the world. Like, I had people from India, I have people from Thailand, I have people from Singapore. Like, I have to just remind them, like, hey, like, don't forget, like, you need to tip your guide at the end of the tour. And I kind of make it so that they think that, you know, it's kind of just expected, and it's really not a negotiable at that point, because I'm not going to recommend my guides to people, like, if they're not going to tip. Because, like, you know, I take care of them because they, you know, like I said, they'll take care of me because they'll tell me, hey, like, BTW, this changed. Hey, like, this changed. And I have a rapport with them. So, yeah. But I recommend that every travel agent do it at least once, and take videos and take photos and post that shit on your social media, because it will lead to so many leads. Like, so many people don't even know what VIP tours are. And like, when you frame it the way that I framed it, you place value on it. You place value on your time, and your experience, and keeping your trip, like, sane. Like, I mean, I think most of us are probably old enough to remember Danny Tanner and the Clipboard of Fun. Nobody wants to be that on a trip, right? Nobody wants to be like, we have to be here at 8 o'clock. We have to do this. Like, Disney is not a vacation at that point. And I always frame it that way for people. Like, I say, like, do you want to have a vacation from your vacation, or do you want to have a vacation that you're going to enjoy and look back and be like, wow, that was a great trip? And a lot of my clients will come back to me and say, like, you were right. Like, we overscheduled ourselves. And I was like, yeah, because, like, you don't need 3 sit-down meals per day. Like, it's just not feasible. Like, you're not going to have enough time to do it. You're not going to have a good experience. And, you know, I work with kids, right? And I work with kids with special needs. So I say to them, like, your kids are going to melt. Like, they're going to lose their little minds, because it is a lot. And every step that you take, they take 2 to 3 steps. So you have to remember that as mom and dad, right? You have to remember that they're tired and they're hot and they're out of their routine. They're eating food that they're not normally eating. And the tour will give you a chance to, like, just be a family and enjoy one another. Stop and smell the roses. And, like, the guides are really great about that. They'll point out things to you that, like, you wouldn't have seen on your own. Like, on our very first tour, we had this man, John Waters, and he was phenomenal. He's no longer a guide. He works at Epcot Guest Relations, and we go see him every time we go. And he's like, Sharon, he's like, did you know that this says that these are not the droids you're looking for? Like, in one of the shops, like, he would point out all these things. He's like, did you know that there's a mini Millennium Falcon on the Millennium Falcon? I was like, what? He's like, yeah, right over there. Like, so he would point out these things that, like, we wouldn't have noticed. And, like, the new Tiana's Bayou, like, there's an ode to Splash Mountain in there. So, like, when you walk through one of the queues, there's a statue of a bear and a rabbit. And she's like, oh, that was the Imagineers, like, tipping their hats to Splash Mountain. So, like, there's so many things that we don't know that they know and they see every day, and they'll point them out to you. And it just, like, elevates your experience. And you're like, wow, like, I've been to Disney, I don't know, 175 days. Like, this is my goal, is that, and I'm from New Jersey. So, like, you know, it's not like I can go there after work, right? So my goal is to get to 365 days so that I can say that I spent a year of my life in Disney. So that's my life goal right now, right? I got my PhD, and that's my new goal. So I think that, like, you know, I feel like I know so much about Disney, but then at the same time, I go on tours and I learn something new almost every time. So.
Yeah, I was really curious what the difference was between the Keys to the Kingdom and VIP tour, because I know, so I've started creating fam trips for agents because I started an agency on my own, and I was like, wait a minute, I started this because I wanted that support and that community to go to Disney together and have fun together. And I'm like, wait a minute, now I can't do that. So I asked if other people wanted to join. Everybody's like, me. And the group grew to like 400 overnight. So a lot of people were requesting the Keys to the Kingdom, VIP tours. And this first trip we're doing, I'm keeping it pretty small, and we're actually going to do the Wild Africa trek.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah.
I'm excited about that. But I don't remember where I was going with that.
Yeah, I mean, if you, especially with a travel agent like discount, if you get yourself like a club level room and do, and they've done this discount for 3 years now. So this is the 3rd year. The first year it was not commissionable. So if you had a DVC client, like it wasn't commissionable the first year, but then last year and this year, the DVC rates and the club level are still commissionable, which, you know, you're obviously not making as much, but like, you know, in the interest of like helping people out, I tell them, I'm like, I'm making less money by telling you this, but like if it were me, I would book a club level room and get that 20% off.
So they do this discount every year? Is it?
Every year from this year, actually, they started it much earlier. Last year, it was like, I think it started in July and it ended in September. This year, it started in like late May, early June. And I think that has a lot to do with Universal opening Epic.
Okay.
And I feel like overall, like travel is down. I think people are like uncertain about everything that's like, you know, job wise and stuff. Like I have a lot of people who lost their jobs recently, and they're like, we have to cancel our trip. And I was like, I get that. Like it's either Mickey or putting food on your table. Like you're going to put food on your table. Right. So, but also like you need to try to sell VIP to every client. It's not just your bougie, like, you know, I'm posting all this on TikTok to make my friends jealous type. Like I have a lot of people who stay at like Pop and like the All-Stars resorts who book VIP tours because they see the value in it. They're like, well, I'm not using the hotel. I'm just sleeping there. So I don't care about like staying at like the fancy hotels. But like when you frame it and tell them like, you can get, if you only want to do 3 park days and not spend a week there, you can do pretty much everything if you do this. They're like, oh, okay. And I don't let travel agents post on behalf of their clients, but like I have people, I'll let them like, I'll say like, just have your client post and like you can comment on it and stuff and just be like, reach out to the client and then it's on them. Like I would never like try to steal someone's client that they already have, but like I also don't want them advertising themselves in my group. Right. So I allow travel agents to post for their own group. So like if you are going on the tours personally, you can say like, hey, like this is my tour, like and just let me know, like just send me a DM, because I've had so many people like it's just like flabbergasting to me, because I'm like, that's literally one of the rules. Like when you join, was like, just don't be a jerk, right? Like, someone's here. So I say, you know, don't DM my members. Don't like offer to book their like. I've had to like kick out so many people because I'm like, it's really not that hard. It's really not that. And I feel like I'm more than fair. Like I let travel agents in the group. Like I welcome it, you know, like I want more people to take tour shares. And I think that like it makes it a really fun experience for everyone. Like I think that everyone should experience it. Like they're fun, and it opens up things to people that they might not ordinarily do. So.
I love it. I appreciate you so much coming here, because I've never done one. So this was, I mean, I don't even know how many I would have had to have taken to get to this knowledge that we got today. So I just appreciate you so much. I know that we set an hour, so I want to go ahead and try and get you out of here. Hi, Kim. Do you have any questions for her? I know you're just joining this. You'll have to watch the replay because it was incredible. Sharon is just a incredible wealth of knowledge. I'm sold. I'm so sold. Like I'm so ready, because I love being the mom that's like, oh, here's how we're going to do everything. But it gets so exhausting being the one that's like, and now we got to go here. Okay, do you want to ride this ride? Because if you want to ride this ride, we've got to stop standing here. We've got to move this
right.
So, you know, I'm like, yes, it sounds completely worth it to me now. And I don't think I would have seen the value before. I mean, it sounded like something cool to do, but now after talking to you, I'm like, wow, what an incredible, thing that not only we can do ourselves, but
Really
offer to
change
clients.
your experience. And then you can buy the VIP merch that you can
Ooh.
only buy on tour, right? And as a travel agent, guys, like my advice to you is buy extra merch. They will only let you buy one item per person, but if there's people on your tour that aren't buying it, buy extra ears and buy extra hats and stuff, and like use them for contests, because it's super exclusive. You can only get the merch while you're on tour with your guide. So like I was going on a tour the next day and I asked to see the merch and they were like, no, you can only see it with your guide. So I bought extra this last time, and I'm gonna run like a promotion. Like when we get to 30,000 people, I use it to collect like data. Like I'm using it, and I'll have a form where I like get people's email, like so that I have, God forbid something ever happens to the group, I have people's emails and stuff. But like the social media aspect of it is really great. Like I think that like when you post on your personal page and people see this, like, and you're normal people, right? Like I'm not rich. Like, I have a mortgage and two kids one is about to go to college. And they're like, how do you afford that? And I'm like, well, actually, this is it. And so like you get into a conversation and people are like, I didn't know that. And you're like, yeah, I know you didn't know that. But like getting people to that point and realizing that this is something that they can do for their family, it's a game changer and it's commissionable. And so, it really isn't a lot of work. And, once they book their tour, I do go through their day with them and I ask them like, what do you want to do on your day? And people will, I want to do every ride at every park. And you're like, okay, well, that's not going to happen. So like manage those expectations, because guys, if you manage their expectations, they will come back and do it again. If you do not manage their expectations, now you've created a situation where they're regretting the decision to spend that money. And it's all about how you frame it, right? So that's my psychology degree coming through and giving you these little tidbits. But like, if you tell them, hey, you are going to wait in line, like, I don't know, 10 to 15 minutes, like for the bigger rides, it could be a little bit longer, but like, these are the things you're going to be able to get done. Whereas if you did those on your own, like you'd never be able to get all that done in one day. It's not feasible to do what you can do on a VIP tour any other way. Because if you buy the Premier Access, like the Premier Lightning Lane, and you do it, like you need 2 days. But when you're on a VIP tour, you only need 1 day, because you can do all of Magic Kingdom and all of Hollywood Studios in 1 day in one tour. Like, that's why I suggest people skip Epcot and Animal Kingdom and do them on their own. Because the tours that I've had, they're like, wow, you were right. Like, we got a lot more done, and we don't have to go back to Hollywood Studios because we did everything. Like, I usually end up spending about 3 hours of my tour time at Hollywood Studios because there's so much to do there. And like I said, have them do Rise of the Resistance on their own before they meet their guide. Oh, that's the other thing, is there's designated spots to meet your guide at every park, or you can meet your guide at any restaurant if you have a table service reservation prior to your tour. So at Hollywood Studios, you can meet your guide at either One Man Stream or the Vacation Fun Theater. If they want to do Star Wars, I tell them to do it at the Vacation Fun Theater. They go basically around in a loop, and then they go out through, where the villain show is. That's where the VIP access is to the van. And when you go to the van, like, they can take you at Epcot, they can take the van, park it by Guardians. They can take the van and drive you to France and Norway if you really want to do those. But yeah, sorry. There's a lot to talk about.
When I told you, I was like, oh, it'll only take 30 minutes. There's not that much to talk about VIPs. I didn't know. I had no idea. So let me ask you a real quick breakdown of just like what it looks like. A client comes to you, you do the questions that you said, all the questions, and then you call. Like, how do you go about planning out what they want to do? If you can do that within like 4 minutes. so you
So
can get out of here.
yeah, so another thing is that just so you know, when you're planning a tour for someone, like there are certain times of the year where you have to be like on the phone at like, I literally have my watch, my Apple Watch, where it counts down to the second. I click it, I say like, you have to know the prompts, and like you're like and like it'll be like, if you're a travel agent, press 1. If you're this, press 1. If you're this, press 2. Like you have to know those prompts and get through that like menu as soon as possible, because when you're trying to get a client a tour on Christmas, New Year's Eve, they're gone like 68 days out. You can only book a tour 60 days out. So you can book a tour for up to 10 days of their check-in date if they're staying at a Disney resort. The Swan and Dolphin do not count. So if you're staying, you know, at the Contemporary and you check in on October 1st, you can book, and you're there for 10 days, you can book 70 days out. So I have clients that do that. You know, they'll book a very long trip at Christmas knowing that that's the only way they're going to get like New Year's Eve. So New Year's Eve is one of those days that like, if you're not on that phone exactly when the time opens, you're not getting that tour. You'll get waitlisted. And sometimes the waitlist comes through and sometimes it doesn't. And what was your other question? I'm sorry, I went off on a tangent. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry. Just kind of what the process looks like. So they reach out to you, you ask them those questions, and then how do you go about deciding what they want to do in a day? Like, how do you,
So
and then do you call all that in? Like, what does it look like to go through the process?
So I will ask for their must-do list. Like and then I'll ask for their like-to-do list, and then I'll ask them, like, if it's very long, I'll say, all right, now out of those things, what is your absolute must-dos? Like, what are your non-negotiables? What will you not be happy if you don't do? And so then we'll go through it. And I have a list and I send it to Disney Signature Services, like, I don't know, a week before the tour. And if I know the guide, like a lot of times if I request the guides, they'll reach out and be like, oh, I got your client on this date. I will send them the list as well. And I will break down the list by location. So like they'll give me a list and it'll be mishmash. And I'll be like, okay, so what you really mean is that we're going to do this, 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 this. Get here, go here, do this. Like I plan it out how I would do it in an ideal world, like barring, you know, thunder and them closing Slinky Dog Dash and then Rise of the Resistance doesn't work, whatever it is. And that's another thing, is that your guides, certain guides know that if you're stuck on a ride and you're paying how much an hour and you're stuck on Rise of the Resistance for 20 minutes, like happened to us, they will call Disney and they will get you credit for that time. So you're not paying for just sitting on a ride like that's broken. Not every guide will do that. So that's why the guide is really important. So I'll say, all right, you said you want to do this and this, but those are opposite ends of the park. So like, we'll say, all right, we're going to do Rise of the Resistance, then we're going to do Millennium Falcon, then we're going to do Slinky Dog Dash, then we're going to do Toy Story Mini, then we're going to do Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railroad, then we're going to do Tower of Terror, we're going to do Rock and Roller Coaster, we're going to go here. So just to, like, you would do it in your own mind if you were, you know, Danny Tanner and the Clipboard of Fun for your own family. You want to plan out that like path of least resistance. And I know how long it takes to do each ride. So that's why I suggested to you, when you take your own tour and you really need to take a tour, even if you just join a share in my group, just to have done it and get that experience, take a photo when you tap in and when you get off the ride. And that way you'll have a frame of reference and say, oh, okay, well, I see your list and I realize that you want to do all those things, but I just wanted to let you know that this park alone is going to take you 3 hours of your 7-hour tour. And when you frame it that way, it trains them to realize, oh, like my expectations are out of sync with reality. And that will make them like kind of primed for the experience, and it will make them more likely to book again for their next trip.
That is definitely very helpful because, I mean, yeah, the expectations of that are everything, because going into it, like I said, I didn't know any of this before I talked to you. So I would have been like, I'm just going to stroll through and, so then the rides. So do you give the list of the rides to the host that day, or is it something that's already pre-planned,
So
or how does
I
that look?
email it to them, and they don't always give it to the guide. Most of the time the guide will have it, but not all the time. So at that point, I'll just send it to them as like a notes. They all of them will have like a phone that day, and it's not their personal phone, it's the Disney phone. So they'll text you like, hey, I'm looking forward to our tour today. And I'll send them, I'll be like, did you get the list? Like, this is what our, like to do's are. That's it. Yeah.
Go ahead, Kim. I don't know if
Did my mic unmute?
oh, there you go.
Okay, hang on. I had to do all the clicking. Sorry, I joined late. I saw the reminder when I got on the computer this morning, and then I got busy doing other things, and I just set that down. And I was like, "Well, dang, I forgot about that." So I hate that I missed all your talk. When will the replay be up, Marie?
Oh, you're muted.
I'll get it up as soon as I can. But we do, ladies, want to wrap it up. I know Sharon budgeted for about an hour, so I know you've got to go get your daughter or something. So did you have a specific question, Kim? I'll try and have it up as soon as possible.
Probably my question is on whatever she's already talked about, because I've missed the whole thing. But the tours that you do, are they you personally, or are they through Disney?
No, they're Disney.
Okay, I thought they were like through you, and I thought I didn't think you could do that. That's why I was kind of curious, like how that works. But anyway, I felt you probably covered all of that.
Yeah,
she did. It was very thorough.
There were people that were using DAS, and that's probably one of the reasons why they revamped DAS. Like they had people, like companies would hire people with disabilities and take people around the park using their DAS.
No.
Yeah, it was a big thing.
No.
Yeah, because people are horrible. I know and that's what ruined it for everyone else that really needed it. But
I had not heard about that. Miss Allison, do you have a question?
Quick comment. I did send you a friend request, Sharon. I am enjoying you, like, oh my gosh. But yeah, I just want to put that out there, so you want to get some rando.
Sounds good. I accepted it. Perfect.
Thank
you. I
you.
mean, if you ever have questions, feel free to reach out. I've done 12 tours, and I would never have been able to do 12 tours if I hadn't shared them, because who can do that? There's just too much. But I do think that it's a really powerful way to increase your business, because when people see you doing it, they'll ask questions that they wouldn't have asked otherwise. Especially when it's people that they know, and they're like, wait, how are you doing that? How do you afford to do that? And then you have a conversation, and then, oh, okay.
That's where I was going earlier when I got lost, when I started talking about, I got in my head about the Wild Africa Trek and just started thinking about all the things that were going to happen. But that was what I was going to talk about, is us doing these tours gives us this different, way to talk to our clients, rather than just, I've stood in front of the castle with Mickey ears on. Like, you actually have tried these things that can elevate their trip in different ways. That, yeah, I think you nailed it when you said it. That
I have a husband who hates Disney. Hates it. I mean, after our first trip, you probably know why. But he hates heat, he hates germs, and he hates crowds. So it's literally the trifecta. And when I sold him on this idea of tours, I had already taken 4 tours without his knowledge. And he was like, this is the biggest waste of your time. He's like, you need to finish your dissertation. You're just wasting time. Your side hustle is not profitable. You're wasting money. And this is just an excuse for you to go to Disney. And I was like, So I said to him, you know what? I have already booked X, Y, and Z. I am going to do this. And he's like, okay. So I said to him, after I had done these tours, I said, I have this group, and I kind of laid it out for him. And I was like, we already did a tour too, and it has led to this. And he was like, and how much did you make? And I was like, well, this is really the first year that it's been profitable. But I made about 10,000 in commission this year. And he's like, oh, he's like, all right. Well, he's like, how much did you spend on Disney? And I was like, probably close to that. But, you know, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to move forward. And I told him, I was like, you need to spend money to make money, my friend, because travel agents are a dime a dozen, right? Like everybody is a travel agent, right? You need to differentiate yourself from something. You need to find a niche and you need to like go for it. And he was like, well, how many people can really afford to go on VIP tours? And I was like, well, you'd be surprised. Like people make it a priority because they understand now why it's so great. And they're like, and so this trip, he knew we were doing 2 tours and he's like, oh, he's like, but you also make 10% commission on it. So you're really only paying for 1 spot. And I was like, correct. And so he was like, oh, did you take a lot of stuff for your social media? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, that's great. So like, it's a completely different conversation now. Because even he sees it. Like I started out in the red, right? Like we all start out in the red. And this year, my agency has 3 tiers, right? So the first year I made silver and then I made gold like 2 years in a row. And this year I'll make platinum because I have sold over $560,000 worth of Disney. And literally just Disney and Universal, and 95% of it is Disney. So like, he's like, how much are you at this year? And I'm like, about $45,000. And he was like, okay. So like, now he understands that like, when I'm like, I can't talk to you right now. I'm talking to a client. He's like, okay. And he just shuts up because he's like, oh, this is working. And I was like, yeah.
I love that so much for multiple reasons, because I feel like so often when we want to sell Disney and Universal, people are like, well, you're going to need to sell some other stuff too. You're going to need to, you know, that's just where people start. Don't, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, I was told that a lot. Like my first agency, the reason I left it was they decided to go luxury and that they were like, we're not really going to support Disney anymore. I'm like, okay. And it really messed with me at first. I was like, oh my gosh, this is, you know, I've totally done the wrong thing. And I really got back to it and was like, no, like I completely believe I can do this as, you know, focusing on Disney. So I really appreciate that aspect of it that you shared. And I mean, I really believe it is true. Like we have to spend that money. We have to take these experiences because you have to know to go. You can't, you know, you talking about these tours from the angle you are is only because you've done it. Like I can still go tell this stuff that you've told me, but I still can't sell it the same way you can until I've done it myself, because it's just a whole different, I mean, even like staying on site, I was just like you. I'm like, there's no way paying $300 a room, a night for a room is worth anything that people talked about. And honestly, I was annoyed when I heard the word Disney bubble. I'm like, that sounds terrible. Like, I want to get away, but I ended up staying one time as a like experiment and research. And I was like, oh my gosh, like
so much easier.
this is amazing. Like,
and you also have to frame it and say to them, like, all right, you're also going to be paying for $30 of parking a day. So like add that into your costs. So like that $70 room is really now a $100 room. And now you're really not that far off from just staying at, you know, one of the all-star resorts, whatever. So like, I think that your biggest thing is when you're selling travel is that you need to like look beyond what you would spend and what you would do personally and say like, this is where the value is for your family. Like being able to walk to Magic Kingdom, there's nothing like that. Like that's why the Contemporary and Polynesian, like that's why those hotels are worth it. Like you have to like, and I always, my very first job, I sold, I worked at AMC Theaters, which was Sony Theaters back in the day. And we used to make commission on the concession stands, which was like brilliant from their standpoint because I could sell ice to Eskimos, like, and like every day, like I would go in and they'd be like, I'll have a small popcorn and a box and a small drink. And I'm like, well, did you know for 50 cents more, I'm in the middle of something. You can get a medium and a medium. And they're like, oh, all right, let's just do that. And I'm like, well, for 50 cents more, now you can get a large and a large. And they're like, all right, fine. And literally people don't know what they want. And if you just put it in their head and show them the value, like you're getting this much for like this much, but now you're getting this much for like that. Like when you frame it that way, like people see value. So you have to show them why it's worth it to them.
And you can't do that unless you've
Have to do it.
experienced that value yourself. I mean, it's
You can't say why it's worth it to stay at, you know, the yacht club if your intention is going to Epcot and to Hollywood Studios. Like you can't say like, oh, I love the club level at this resort because it's really great. Like I've stayed at every resort on property. I stayed at club level at most of them. The only ones I haven't stayed at are the All-Star resorts because I refuse to stay there because I'm DVC now and I'm too bougie now. But I mean, you have to do it so that you can say, well, the walk from Boardwalk to Hollywood Studios only takes about 10 minutes. So like, if you've got a lot of Star Wars fans, like that's, you know, a great place to stay because of this. Or like, I have stayed at Caribbean Beach. You don't want a standard room. You want a preferred room because that's going to cut down your walk to X, Y, and Z. Like you want to stay in this building because blah, blah, blah. Like you need to understand how like the hotels are laid out. You need to understand like why you want to recommend what you're recommending.
yeah, exactly. And I also believe that going on like trips without your family, it's hard to help people understand the value of that because it seems like such a family vacation thing. But being able to just do the research and to study it and to just, you know, and I will tell you this too, for the first like year or two, I didn't make much.
Yeah.
But our tax write-offs
Yeah.
saved the day.
Yeah.
So, I know you probably need to get going, Sharon. So anything else you
knocked on the door and I was like, go away. But yeah,
I can tell you love talking about this and I appreciate that. Like the passion. And that's another thing. You can't get that passion unless you've gone on it, you know, like
and
it shines through in you.